This is the video for Chapter 16, Section 5, The Missionaries. Ever since Lewis and Clark appeared among them, the Nez Perce had been friendly toward the Americans. In 1831, 3 Nez Perce traveled to St. Louis to learn more about the Americans' ways. There, the Nez Perce asked if someone would come west to teach their people the secrets of the Black Book, or the Bible. Before going too far into this section, let's go over the scales and the learning goal. Remember, you need to make sure you mark the scales before and after the section. So the learning goal we're going to aim for is to be able to understand the missionaries' impact on the settlement of Oregon and be able to explain how that impacted the local Native American populations. We also need to go over a few things you need to keep in mind. 1. The less than essential question. What were the motives, hardships, and legacies of the group that moved west in the 1800s? So in this case, what were the motives, the hardships, and the legacies of the missionaries that went to Oregon? Also, the section essential question. What was an important legacy of the early missionaries to Oregon? Remember, you need to copy down that question and find the answer and copy down the correct answer so you can study for your quiz. There is only one vocabulary word for this section, and that is Oregon Trail. That's the name of the land route that stretched about 2,000 miles from Independence, Missouri to the Columbian River in Oregon. Several missionaries answered the call of the Nez Perce Indians. The best known were Marcus and Narcissa Whitman and Henry and Eliza Spalding. In 1836, the two couples traveled west for St. Louis along the Oregon Trail. On reaching Oregon, the group split up. The Spaldings went to work with the Nez Perce. The Whitmans worked among the neighboring group, the Cayuse. Neither couple knew very much about the people they hoped to convert. The result was a difficult start. After 3 years, the Spaldings finally made their first converts. In 1839, Henry baptized 2 Nez Perce chiefs. A year later, one of the chiefs had his infant son baptized as well. The child would grow up to be the leader best known as Chief Joseph. The Whitmans were less successful. The Cayuse were far more interested in the Americans' weapons and tools, way more than the religion. The couple also offended the Cayuse. They refused to pay for the land they took for their mission, or to offer visitors gifts, as was the Indians' custom. Not a single Cayuse converted to their new faith. Marcus Whitman was far more successful at converting Americans over to the belief that Oregon was a pioneer's paradise. In 1842, Marcus traveled east on horseback. Along the way, he urged Americans to settle in Oregon. On his return, he guided a large group of settlers along the Oregon Trail. More settlers soon followed. In 1847, measles came west with the settlers and swept through the American mission. Marcus treated the sick the best he could. The Cayuse noticed that the Americans usually recovered, while their own people were dying. Rumors spread that the Whitman was giving deadly pills to the Indians. Cayuse Indians attacked the mission, killing both Marcus and Narcissa. Alright, let's go back and look at the section essential question. What was an important legacy of the early missionaries to Oregon? They opened up the West for the settlers. Make sure you copy that down so you have it to study for your quiz. The last thing we need to cover is we need to make sure you have all your assignments done for Section 5. You need to have the scales marked before and after. You needed to write the definition out for Oregon Trail under the section vocabulary. These section essential questions need to be copied down with the correct answers, and the notebooks need to be answered in complete sentences. Once you've done this, you've completed your assignments for this section, and you can move on to Section 6.